You're having panic attacks and you want to know how to cope with them. Well, you're in the right place, because by the end of this video, you will know how to calm the symptoms of panic using 3 tried and tested evidence-based psychological strategies that anyone can do. I am Dr. Liz White, a consultant clinical psychologist with over 20 years experience in mental health, and I specialize in helping people with anxiety. If you don't want to miss out on future episodes, then hit the like, subscribe and bell button. So first things first, panic attacks are horrible. They can be incredibly distressing, especially if you don't know that what you're experiencing is a panic attack. And that's because there is a whole host of physical symptoms that come along with a panic attack that can feel like you're having a heart attack or like you can't breathe and you might die. So when you're having a panic attack, what you normally experience first is those physical symptoms. Things like rapid heart rate, so your heart starts beating out of your chest, or it feels like it's coming out of your chest. Your breathing gets quicker, faster, shallower. You may feel like you can't catch your breath. You may get hot, or you may start sweating. You may start to feel sick or nauseous. You may feel like you're going to be sick. You may start feeling faint or dizzy, and you may start experiencing chest pains alongside lots of tension in your muscles. So there's a whole host of symptoms that can happen all at once and very quickly, and they can feel like they come out of absolutely nowhere. So the key thing that you need to know about panic attacks is they are not dangerous, and panic attacks are not fatal. In fact, your body is doing something amazing. It is reacting to a perceived threat that has switched on something called the fight or flight response. Now, the fight or flight response is the result of millions of years of evolution where your brain has evolved to ensure your survival, and therefore the survival of our species. Now, to ensure survival, we need to have some kind of mechanism that alerts us to dangers. So when you're crossing the road and you're looking at your phone and then suddenly a car comes towards you, what do? You jump out of the way as fast as possible. And the only reason you can do that is because of your fight or flight mechanism. But in panic, your fight or flight response has switched on even though there isn't any danger in reality. And a useful way to think about this is it's a bit like a fire alarm that's going off when there actually isn't any fire. So how do you cope with the physical symptoms of panic? Well, first things first, you need to figure out a way of calming down your nervous system, calming down that fight or flight response. And the number one way to do this is through your breathing. So slowing your breathing down, which stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. And that in turn results in a decrease in your heart rate. And essentially, it allows your body to return to a state of rest, which is the opposite to the sympathetic nervous system, which is the thing responsible for your fight or flight response. So if you're new to the idea of breathing exercises, I would recommend just keeping it super simple. So just focus on making your exhale longer than your inhale, and try and inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And as you get more confidence with this, you can practice holding your breath just for a couple of beats after you inhale and then exhaling. So all you need to do in the middle of a panic attack is just focus on slowing your breathing down, finding what we call a soothing rhythm to your breathing. I appreciate this is really tough when you're in the middle of a panic attack, when your breathing is so quick and so fast, and you feel like you can't catch your breath. This stuff takes practice. So even if you can do it for a few seconds, that's a brilliant start. Now, a lot of us, when we do breathing exercises, we tend to use the upper part of our chest rather than our bellies or our diaphragms. So when you have started to get a bit more confident slowing your breathing down, try breathing using your belly and using your diaphragm, because that will be a much more effective way of slowing your breathing down. So a useful visual for this is to imagine a balloon in your stomach, or just imagine a balloon, and imagine that as you inhale, the balloon is inflating, i.e. getting bigger, and as you exhale, it is deflating, i.e. getting smaller. So essentially you are sort of pushing your stomach out using your diaphragm as you inhale, and then pulling it back in as you exhale. Now, again, if you haven't done this before, this can feel quite tricky. So it takes practice, and some people find counting really effective as well. And I would recommend something called the 4-7-8 method, which is inhaling for a count of 4, holding for a count of 7, and then exhaling for a count of 8. Now, you may be thinking, Liz, I do not want to focus on my breathing when I'm in a panic attack, because when I focus on my breathing, it makes me panic more. And that is actually really common. So if this is you, try something else. So what I would suggest here is that rather than focusing on something that's internal to you, i.e. your breathing, instead focus on something external to you, i.e. just what's around you. So again, nothing fancy here. All you want to do is just focus on particular objects that you can see. So it doesn't matter where you are. You would just describe to yourself the things that you can see, and to describe it in rich detail. So another aspect of panic attacks that can be really distressing is the thoughts that come along with them. So for example, you may have thoughts like, I feel like I'm dying. I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack. I can't catch my breath. Everyone's looking at me. Everyone can see that I'm panicking. Now, when these anxious thoughts are particularly to do with the physical sensations that you're experiencing, like I'm having chest pains, therefore I'm having a heart attack, we call those catastrophic misinterpretations. So they're misinterpretations of your physical symptoms, and they're being misinterpreted in a catastrophic way, i.e. like the worst thing that could happen. So rapid heart rate is interpreted as a heart attack. Shallow breathing is interpreted as not being able to breathe. Nausea is interpreted as I'm going to be sick. Dizziness is interpreted as I'm definitely going to faint or lose consciousness. And altogether, what these interpretations mean is that something really bad is happening to me and I'm out of control, or I'm not in control of it. And that can feel so hard. So here is my second tip for coping with panic attacks. Try to step back from those catastrophic misinterpretations that your mind is giving you. So try and experience your thoughts, experience your mind with curiosity, rather than believing everything that your mind is saying when you're in the middle of panic. And a really good strategy for this is from acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT for short, which is a form of CBT. So rather than I'm going to die, you would instead say, I'm having the thought that I'm going to die. And what that does is it helps you step back from the thought. It gives a little bit of distance. It takes the power out of that thought. So moving on to my third tip. Now, not only when you're experiencing a panic attack are you having to deal with the horrible physical symptoms alongside the catastrophic misinterpretations, the panicky thoughts, the anxious thoughts, you're also experiencing emotions and feelings. So dread, fear, nervousness, embarrassment maybe if you're in a public place and you're experiencing a panic attack. And this is where self-compassion comes in. When we are going through a tough time, we need warmth and friendliness and kindness to help us through. And this is what's going to help you through a panic attack. And that's the other key thing about panic, is it's not about trying to stop or get out of panic because it's already happening. It's more about, how do I navigate this? How do I move through this? How do I stop the struggle, let it happen, and come out the other side? Now, if you have a tendency to be self-critical, this may be a little bit tricky, but again, like any other skill, it takes practice. So here are some statements that you can say to yourself when you are in the middle of panic. This will pass. I am safe. I'll get through this. I just need to wait this out. This feels horrible, but I'm going to be okay. And the slightly longer version of that is, my brain and my body are doing its thing. My brain thinks that I'm in a dangerous situation, but I'm not. I am safe and this will pass. And it's also worth noting there that panic attacks usually only last between 5 and 20 minutes. So if you can focus on your breathing, slowing your breathing down, or if you don't want to do that, focusing on something external to you, as well as stepping back from those panicky, anxious, catastrophic misinterpretation thoughts, whilst also holding yourself kindly and with compassion, that is going to help you navigate a panic attack. Now, if you would like me to do some videos on breathing exercises or specific exercises, then let me know in the comments. I hope you found this video helpful. Until next time.